Richard Thomas, Games Development, UAL Level 3 Extended Deployment. Okay, so my extended project, I was about to say extended deployment, my extended project is focused on the question, how does an animal's anatomy influence its movements? So my focus is going to be on different types of animal anatomy, such as that of quadrupeds, bipeds, different various creatures of the same types. And I'll look at the animal's movements as well. A large focus of the project is going to be on seeing how the anatomy affects the creature's movements. So how a quadruped will move differently from a biped, and how different quadrupeds move differently because of their anatomies. After I've considered these research topics, I will branch into looking at researching animation techniques, primarily focused on 3D animation, because that's my specialist area. I will be looking at previous animators, as well as reading books about animation techniques. For my end product, I hope to create a 3D animation, similar to what I did for the first year. I aim to either create a walk cycle for some type of animal, or a very short animation based on video footage that I've taken. Talking about research that I've completed, over the Easter holiday, I went to Wildwood, and I've conducted some primary research by taking photographs and videos of animals. And I've observed kind of patterns in their movements, even though some of them didn't want to move very much. Some of my influences are basic animation studios such as Disney and Studio Ghibli. However, there are also some games such as Okami with a focus on animal movement, Overwatch and Skullgirls, which have detailed videos about the animation techniques they use in their games. This also ties to my target audience, because I would aim to have an audience of people who like this type of thing, who like animations and who like animals and who like both. Thank you for listening.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Richard.
And a little bibliography.
Lovely. Thank you.
I
was just thinking that because I wasn't looking. I've lost my sheet.
Right, so what are the technical requirements for your project?
I would require things to record primary research, such as cameras. I would require drawing tools so that I can prepare for the 3D stage, concept art, things like that. I require computers with access to internet and able to use 3D programs. And that is about it.
So you're going to be using traditional drawing materials?
Yes, I'm going to do some sketches, kind of analyse the anatomy of creatures, and then move towards the 3D area.
What might be quite interesting as well, actually, just as kind of tiny little experiments, just so that you can, when you're putting your traditional images and putting them into Photoshop and you're cleaning them up, maybe even putting a bit of colour in there, sort of just playing around with concept art a little bit, even if it's not something you're hopefully sort of progressing into, but just having an idea about the development of that character, whether it's the fur, whether it's the colours, whether it's the expressions.
Graphics tablets as well.
Yeah, and just, I mean, that's I think something that could, you could sort of benefit from, and you will benefit from it actually, but something that could be quite a nice part of the project, just a little addition on that. You've talked about the animation techniques that you're using and what you might be experimenting with, and we've had a lot of people actually doing animation projects, especially in DigiDesign. So what we've advised them to do, and similar for you as well, is actually getting footage of animals and rotoscoping it.
Oh, rotoscoping.
Because
that's where you draw over the individual frames?
Yeah.
I was considering that a couple of weeks ago. I was going to do that.
I think that would be a really good idea, because when if you're animating something, like even if you're drawing something just from flesh, you might miss out on certain things. There's some important things with animation, like the line of action, for example, which and just the way that animals move, because we move differently from them, you're going to have to do sort of quite intense studies of them. So actually,
you can make some assumptions.
Well, this is
that
it. I
aren't
mean,
quite right.
Disney do this. Disney sort of have a habit of doing rotoscoping for movement, and especially in sort of difficult things like dance moves and you know, when they're floating around with all the birds and stuff. They would get people, and they would get them to do these actions and then draw over them, which is why they're so good.
Yeah.
And it's not cheating. It's actually sort of getting the fundamentals right, like the foreshortening,
I was
the movement.
I was thinking about that in
pose.
advance because a lot of the footage I took was intended to be side-on, so that I would have something to work off of in the future.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just like a 5-second clip, because I mean, you've got to think about time with your experiments, and rotoscoping does take a lot of time. But just getting that posture, getting that movement and that agility. Yeah,
even like a few rough different ones.
Yeah.
Just kind of quick ones.
Even if they're sort of, you know, incredibly basic to the point of stick drawing.
Yeah.
So you're getting that basic motion of something. And that could be something I'm sort of preempting this because Laurek's going to be coming up in a bit. Working with him perhaps on this, because he's doing something quite similar with animals.
Yeah, I might be able to like share footage back and forth.
Well, just help each other out, because I think you two are the only people I think animating in that class. So it might be quite good actually to sort of share ideas with him and just to give each other advice and tips.
The three of us, me, him and Cherish,
Cherish
went to the library and just talked about animal books actually. Just before coming in.
You should sort of buddy up with people. Another one for you to look at is a really obscure game, and it's one that was on the PS Store not so long ago, and it's called Tokyo Jungle.
I've heard of that. I think I've seen it. Yeah.
It's the most bizarre
you're
game.
Just in Tokyo, and it's like an apocalypse, and you just play animals.
Yeah,
right?
And it's really frustrating.
And it's really weird.
I saw that a few years ago.
There's a bit in there where you have to go and mate with another animal, and it's like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Get like a little pack of tiny animals.
But it's actually the environment itself. I was more interested in the environment because it's apocalypse. It's
one of those,
urban exploration.
Urban clash with nature kind of things.
Yeah, nature taking over, and that's what I was really interested in, because I'm interested in games like Last of Us and their environments. But that game in particular, I was actually sort of quite taken back at the level of detail in which some of the animations of the animals and how they move. I don't know what I know it's on PS, but I don't know what
I've got it on PS3.
If it's on PS4, I think I could play it.
Yeah, be honest.
Have you got a PlayStation?
I've got a PlayStation 4, but I lend it off quite a lot to my dad.
Oh, okay, so it's in the house.
So I can get it back pretty easy.
I think it's on the PS Store, and it won't be that expensive if you did want to sort of pick it up. But it's worth looking at because you look at a variety. You play a variety of animals. Yeah. You play as a dog. I think at one point you play as a pig or something.
I think I saw a giraffe. I'm not sure if I'm making that up.
And what's interesting about it as well, especially with the psychology, which I know you're not really sort of looking into.
I wish I was.
Well, it's quite big, but you know, for another project, you know, maybe extend it in the summer. It's you tend to sort of get to points where there's little packs and things like with animals, and I remember there's a certain area, there's a bridge where I think it's taken over by a bunch of beagles, and they've got puppies up there.
I think I've seen that bit.
Yeah.
I think, if it's scripted.
It's such a bizarre game. Yeah. It's really strange.
Because a lot of them are just dog types, like normal domestic dogs.
Yeah, but it's something definitely to look at, and I'm gonna, don't tell Laurie, but I'll suggest that to him as well for the future. I think, definitely sort of, I know you've been working on this all year, so I've got absolutely no issues with this. Traditional, non-traditional. What kind of platform are you going for with this?
I imagine it would be, because this is just going to be a basic animation. It depends on the type of animation I end up making, because if it's a walk cycle designed to be part of a game, then it would be perhaps a console game. But if it was more like a cinematic type of animation, then maybe it would still fit for consoles, or maybe it would be kind of slightly veering off from games.
Okay. Are you going
probably use some kind of console?
Because obviously you'll end up with, you know, like your Fox will be sort of toward the end thing. Are you going to texture fur over it or anything like that?
I've just written texturing, that's so funny.
I've considered that. I actually did some experiments on the Fox trying to make fur stuff work. And it's weird.
Something to explore.
Oh, great minds there. Yeah.
That's like a halfway done experiment.
Are you going to go for something that's realistic or something that's quite stylised?
It really depends, because I kind of want to allocate a certain amount of time to certain things. If I want to allocate a lot of time to having a nice animation, I might take some time away from the detailing. I might go for more stylized, like the Fox was, which was kind of like blocky, bright colours.
Quite. I think your Fox is quite Nordic.
Yeah, very much so. Scandi design.
Yeah, in its design, which is actually sort of quite current. So it might be worth looking at animals.